The Redemption of Babel, a devotional for the season of Lent, produced by Northside Church. Friday, March 10th. Our scripture passage today comes from Matthew chapter 25, verses 34 through 40.
Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me."
A city can be an inhospitable place, especially for those in need, for those who are treated like they don't belong. In fact, it can be downright hostile. We've seen this already with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and if you hang a left on Northside Drive after church any Sunday, you won't get very far before you can see it right here in our neighborhood of Atlanta. 2,000 years after Lot and 2,000 years before us, we find Jesus, and the issue was the same in the cities he visited during his earthly ministry. People struggling with hunger and thirst with no place to call home while being underclothed, sick, and lonely. This is the legacy of Cain's project. Designed to be a protection against the wilderness, it has become a haven where chaos thrives in the hearts, bodies, and souls of its residents. But, despite our grand schemes and best designs, God has not abandoned us to our devices. Much like God showed mercy and grace to Cain and the people of Babel, God has planted a life-giving garden in the midst of our city, and every city that's popped up across creation. This is part of God's plan of redemption for the city itself. That garden is the church, and its plants and trees are the disciples of Jesus Christ. Empowered and energized by the light of the Spirit, we have been called to bear the fruit of faithfulness, even in such barren soil. Just before our passage today, rather than a garden metaphor, Jesus uses a farming one, separating the goats from the sheep. With our contemporary lens, we've often read this to mean that certain individuals will be blessed as sheep while others will be condemned as goats. But a more careful reading suggests that Jesus could also be talking about whole groups, even nations of people, some of them good, others not. And the difference between the sheep and the goats? In a word, hospitality.
"For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me."
How is it possible that we could truly do this for Jesus?
"Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me."
When the church flourishes as the garden it was planted to be, then no one in the city is without sustenance and shelter. No one is abandoned when they are sick or lonely.
This is our call here in Atlanta. So, in which herd will we find ourselves?